Hello everyone, this is Remleiz from 40k Theories, and welcome to this new episode of Adeptus Podcastus. Joining me as always is Tactica Imperialis.
Hello everyone.
And joining us as our returning guest after a very long absence, it's a man who, quite frankly, needs no introduction because, quite frankly, you know him already. It's Kitten, it's the guy who does the Dawn of War videos, it's ThunderPsyker.
Hello! It's good to be here, everyone. Nice to be around.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember when your last invitation was.
So, I mean, if you're talking invitation, I know you invited me on sort of like, I think around about the October of 2021. But I ended up declining that offer, due to some other circumstances at the time. But before that, good lord, it must have been like 2020 or something since I've been on. So a very long time ago, and things have been moving swiftly since.
Yeah, that absence we call it the Kirioth effect.
Yes, that sounds about right. But it's good to have you back in any event.
Thank you. Likewise, it's really nice to be back here. I always had a lot of fun being on the podcast, and it's always fun to be here.
Yeah. Normally this would be a point where I'd say when's the next Dawn of War video coming out, Thunder, but you've actually put it out literally like the other week, so...
Yes, the Chaos Rising video came out, and the current goal is to have the Retribution video out sort of around about May, but we'll see if I'm able to deliver on that one. Around about the time this episode of the podcast comes out, I should have a update video released on my channel that's talking a bit more about what's going on with that in the future. So if you're happy to give that a look, especially if you're interested in some more podcast content, talking about anything from games to other tabletop hobby stuff, then come on over, have a look, and see if anything interests you.
Nudge, nudge, link in the description below.
But will White be drinking more food colouring? That's the question.
I'm certain it's you'd be surprised how easy it is to persuade him to do that. He probably would do if I asked.
Well, I remember fairly recently, Rude Rubicante, an artist who does video artwork for some of my videos sometimes, she managed to convince him to like drink some hot habanero sauce.
Wouldn't be too surprised. I'm surprised he hasn't told me about that.
It was quite a while ago. Like, I think she ended up like sending him like 50 quid. Like, here you go, buy some bottle of habanero sauce, and he drank, and I was like, oh, it was actually quite nice, actually.
Oh no, this does actually ring a bell because he was weirdly chill after that, which he normally isn't after eating something so spicy for obvious reasons. But yeah, absolute card he is. So yeah, how's everything been going? It seems like there's been a lot of developments in the recent years.
Yeah, I mean, hi, transition. Hi.
Woo.
Wait, you missed it?
I think I did.
Yeah, I came out of trans in August.
Radical. Well, congratulations.
Thank you. So yes, that's been going on the last most of the last year. Yeah, so that's been the big thing with me. Plus, teaching as always, and not having much time to hobby, which I'm making a point of trying to make time because Farsight's about to come out this week. Yeah, they decided to reveal Farsight and then a week later put him on Poxy pre-order. So budgeting.
Literally tomorrow at the time of recording.
Yeah, literally tomorrow at time of recording. Budgeting is fun, not.
Oh yes. But budgeting is going to be even worse in the incoming months because in the news this week, there is, quite frankly, an absolute crap ton.
Yeah, Adepticon happened.
Adepticon reveals, rather, yes. So let's just jump straight into, quite frankly, the biggest reveal of the entire thing,
Citizen
the Beastman
Sigmar.
Kill Team.
I love how we both avoided the obvious one and went for a stupid bit.
Hey now, Beastmen aren't stupid. There's new 40k Beastmen models. That's a big deal in itself, let's be honest.
I mean,
it's
yes.
Beastmen versus squats. Come on.
Yes, it is. But I think, realistically, there are two places we can start. I think the place that I would want to start is the fact that 10th edition Warhammer 40,000, as many had predicted, given the 3-year cycle of all this stuff, has been officially announced, with lots of new rules, a complete rewrite of every stat line and every codex, a Space Marines versus Tyranids battle box, new Terminators, new Termagants, and much more to come besides.
Indeed. There's accompanied by like a brand new cinematic trailer as well, which a few people point out some interesting things like a Redemptor Dreadnought with twin las cannons and a missile launcher, and the old Rogue Trader era Carnifex Screamer Killer, as well as some other things in it as well. So
neither of those are bad things.
No, not at all.
They're bringing back quite a few sort of old school bits and pieces then, eh?
Yeah, and what's been most interesting, now, to be clear, we could spend an entire hour talking about 10th edition. We are not going to, because we have only got one article, maybe two, that we can actually reference really in terms of rules. All I will say here is they are doing a from the ground up rewrite again. So it's not going to be quite as drastic as 7th to 8th, if you've been around that long, but the 8th to 9th transition was a lot smaller because every codex and stat line you have is about to be invalidated. Universal special rules are coming back. Thank God. No, seriously, it's one of the stupidest things. Like, you've got teleport strike, interdimensional translocation, death from below, manta strike. Just call it fucking deep strike because it's the same rule. It's literally the same rule. So they're bringing them back. Thank you.
All I have to say is I feel sorry for Imperial Guard players who literally just got their codex. Congratulations, it's no longer going to be valid in a couple
of months. World Eaters players, your army just got released as a brand new army with a codex that's going to be invalid within about 5 months.
Also, Emperor's Children players, you don't get one. Fuck you.
Accurate.
I mean, it's I'm quite curious about that because I believe a few Slaanesh models came out a little while ago, but it doesn't seem like out of the 4 gods, Slaanesh normally gets the least love anyway, doesn't they?
Certainly in 40k.
Yeah. So I guess that shouldn't be too surprising, but I feel for the Imperial Guard players in that case, because I've always got to stand my boys, and yeah.
Even though the coach did kill Yarikov unceremoniously.
Oh, yeah, I remember hearing about that. Which, I mean, on the one hand, that's some good drama for Gazgul, but on the other hand, there goes one of the baddest motherfuckers around.
Yep. Wasted storytelling potential right there. But anyway, as we say, there is a lot to come out about 10th, but we won't be talking about it in depth because, quite frankly, there is too much to talk about from Adepticon. We simply don't have time. So we'll probably talk about 10th edition in depth when we have more information in the next episode.
Yeah, that's fair. But I am not going to leave New 40k alone because, hello, they actually redid Terminators and they did not just Primarisize them. Well, they did, but they didn't. Basically,
apparently Primaris Marines can wear Terminator armor.
Yes, so what they've done is they have not changed the design. Even Belisarius Call wouldn't dare tinker with it. But anyone who has earned it can wear it. So they have made it a lot bigger, like bigger than normal Primaris Marines, slightly, only slightly. But it can be worn by Firstborn or Primaris.
And now I just have a mental image of a Primaris Marine being very squished and cramped in it. It's a bit tight.
It's still bigger than an Intercessor.
I suspect that Primaris Marines have that problem when you're in a 4-seater car and you have to go in the back and there's not enough leg room and they're just
God.
like, yeah.
I know that problem all too well. I mean, I'm 6'2", so I know that problem all too well.
Yeah, I mean that'll do it. I'm a little well. I'm in that nebulous zone where depending on who you ask, I'm either average sized or I'm small. I'm like 5'8", so
right.
Just below average, yeah.
Just below average, yeah. But to be fair, I'm quite digging that new Terminator model just purely because one of the nicest things about the Primaris becoming a thing at all is the proportions on the models changing up to sort of match the new height they have. Like the longer legs just generally look a lot nicer on Marines. They look a lot less stocky, which gives them more of an imposing presence, especially when you're looking at them as small models and things. And giving that love to the Terminators is just really nice. So like I'm very happy that not only have they given it that modernized new look, but in general, all the design principles are still there. If you don't mind me picking out a little pet peeve about Primaris, their helmets are cool, but I like the Mark 7, Mark 8 helmet. That's got the Darth Vader grill and things, and Primaris didn't have that, so I'm glad the Terminators still get to keep their I don't really know what to describe the shape of it as.
Face, almost.
Yeah.
No, I agree.
It's a Stormtrooper helmet.
Actually, that's a
I
good
really
analogy.
like the new design. I like the new design for the what's it, not the autocannon, assault cannon. I was going to say autocannons, and that's the wrong bloody cannon. Yeah, assault cannon. Yeah, I like the new design for it.
They've done a really good job, because everyone was expecting Primaris Terminators to be a thing, but we didn't expect that they would do Primaris Terminators without changing Terminators. Just made them bigger. That's actually just a nice expectation subversion, if you will.
Yeah.
Sorry, I cut you off there, Thunder.
That's fine. I was just going to briefly say, because you got the autocannon and assault cannon mixed up. Very different weapons, but I remember when I first got into the hobby, and bear in mind I was 9 at that point in time. I remember being told that an assault cannon is just 6 smaller autocannons stitched together, which that's just a really, really weird thing that I got told. But then again, very slapdash way of being introduced to Warhammer. That's just how it is when you're that young.
Yeah.
Now the question is, what are the odds on this being sold as a pack of 3 Terminators for 45 quid? What are the odds?
I would legit put money on that.
Yeah, I think squads of 3 is not unheard of, I think. But I think for parallels, they might keep it at squads of 5. What this does mean, though, is I think that the next time they do Chaos Marines, they'll redo the Chaos Terminators to match. So that's a good thing.
Yeah.
That'll be cool.
But
actually, you know what?
Sorry.
No, you continue.
I was going to go on, I went into a tangent and talk Termagant, so...
Okay, I was just going to say, I recently I sold some old Terminator models to a friend of mine secondhand, and I'm not sure if either he's going to think, yes, I got a bunch of Terminators for cheap before the prices went up, or if he's going to think, damn it, I just bought all of these after a new model line comes out for Termies.
Funny enough, when second edition was ending, literally about a couple of weeks before third edition dropped, Games Workshop were having a clearance sale of all their second edition codices and all the second edition box sets, the starter set, Dark Millennium, and also the specialist games like Space Hulk, were going for stupidly cheap. So I bought the Space Hulk box set, second edition Space Hulk, 10 quid basically for 20 Gene Stealers and 10 Terminators. 10 quid. Bargain.
That is a golden age, right? I can't imagine anything in Games Workshop being 10 quid now, other than maybe a lollipop and the arm of a librarian or something. Because
normally it would be about 40 quid for the box set, but considering it was the clearance of second edition and they were getting ready to drop third edition, getting rid of everything second edition related. So I just bought it just so I can get 2 squads of Terminators for 10 quid. And the 20 Gene Stealers was a bonus.
Yeah, speaking of which, actually, since you mentioned Gene Stealers, that's a good segue, because when the Terminator head template trailer was dropped, everyone who didn't know it was 10th was going, Space Hulk, Space Hulk, Space Hulk. And while I do think that new Space Hulk would be great, it's interesting that they've chosen to pair the Terminator model reveal with not Gene Stealers, but Termagants. Newly designed Termagants, let's be clear, but it's not the classic Terminator Gene Stealer pairing.
No.
Yeah, that's kind of clever to sort of disguise that kind of intention. I'll let you go ahead, Rem.
It didn't help the fact that Games Workshop themselves were dropping hints like, "Oh, you better give this Hulk some space to deal with the Xenos." And I was like, for fuck's sake, you're not just playing into it, aren't you?
Well, maybe the battle box that they're doing for 10th edition will be set on board a Space Hulk and we can all win.
Maybe, who knows?
That would be cool.
These new Termagants, they seem a lot more detailed than the previous ones, and they're less hunched over as well.
Yeah, I'm quite liking... when was the last time that the Termagant and Hormagant line had a model update? Because
third edition, I think.
Yeah. Oof.
They've been the same since 4th, that's for sure.
Yeah,
third edition, and because it got the update from 2nd to 3rd. Because in 2nd edition, the Termagants, you had a whole bunch of metal ones, and you had the monopose plastic ones, but Hormagaunts were only available as metal. and then they re-released them the plastic ones in third.
Yeah, that makes sense because I have to say I'm quite liking the way that this new model is looking because for one. It's I guess it's a little bit hard to get the moldings done, but if they can make those models a little bit more dynamic in how you compose them, I think you could make something really special with these because I love the detail currently on them. That's something that all of the bearing maybe one or two exceptions, most of the Warhammer model line has always been really, really good at like keeping the molds like looking nice and crisp and everything. I briefly say this just because most of my model painting nowadays is like third-party proxy models for D&D, because the mainline D&D model line, the Marvelous Miniatures they call them, mold lines are terrible on the smaller ones. Like you can't tell when a piece of clothing begins and bare flesh ends, right? It's yeah.
Yeah, I've had that experience with another third-party model. Was like, I can't remember the name of the game, but I think it was like called like Fossilizers or something. It was like it was a model of like a steampunk T-Rex skeleton with like a Civil War Gatling gun arm.
Oh, that's
it looked the artwork for it looks amazing, but the actual model is like it was so like smushed, like they were so soft. The details were so soft on the actual model, like it was hard to tell for the mold lines. It's fucking horrible.
Good lord! I mean, the model itself sounds rad. That sounds like imagine if Abraham Lincoln put that on the front line, right? Be flipping crazy.
Exactly. Yeah.
Now, it should be noted. Apologies for just cutting in and going somewhere else. Whilst 10th edition is coming, 9th edition still has one more thing to chuck at us. Arcs of Omen 4 Farsight is on pre-order this weekend, as weekend just gone, as previously mentioned earlier. But Arcs of Omen 5 was revealed at the show, and it's the lion. They did the thing. The lion is back. Insert yay/boo comments here. But if you're gonna do a Primarch model, you'd better do it right, especially considering how good Heresy era Lion is. And I'm gonna be honest, they fucking smashed it.
He looks like Charles Dance.
I see it.
I kind of
Tywin Lannister from Game of Thrones.
Yeah, I really dig. For one, the helmet matches all expectations I would expect for a Dark Angel helmet. I really like the that kind of vertical feather pattern that they do, rather reminiscent of the High Elves. Come to think of it, but on the other hand, even like the facial the details there, the beautiful moustache and beard combo on him. Loving that.
In fact, they've actually
and the receding hairline.
They've not just given him 2 head options, though. They've given him 4. So you can have helmet, head, helmet with hood, or head with hood. And I think, actually, my favourite of the 4 is actually bare head with hood, because he really just looks incredibly badass in that particular one. Like, with the helmet off, he looks like a crusading hero of legend. But with the hood up, you get that element of mystery that comes with the Dark Angels, which I really, really like.
That was always their kind of motif, wasn't it?
Agreed. Like hoods and robes and all that has always been their shtick.
I was always very tempted. I was very tempted back when I collected Marines to incorporate some way to try and use the Dark Angels pieces onto a custom chapter I was making, because I always quite like the sort of robe thing going on. I'll let you continue. My mistake.
No, I was just going into where they've gone with the model in the future. Obviously, back in the past, you had the lion sword and all that. That's now with Cypher. So what they've done is they've given him a new sword called Fealty, which has got its scabbard carried by a Watcher in the Dark, because Azrael clearly copied it from somewhere. But Lion doesn't get one, he gets 2. The other Watcher is carrying some sort of folded eagle standard. And because Gilliman got the Emperor's sword, Lion got the Emperor's shield. I'm sure there's symbolism in
you
this.
never used.
Indeed, but Gilliman never used the Emperor's sword either. So,
I mean, the Emperor had a sword, but the Emperor never had a bloody shield.
Did he not? Has he never used a shield?
I've never seen him with a shield. I've seen him, because normally it's the sword and his lightning claw. I've never seen him with a shield.
He probably has it in his garage somewhere. He just forgot about it. Ooh. Oh, I've just noticed the you've linked the picture of the model from there. Good lord, that is dope. I really like that.
Yeah, turns out it's from a game called Soriana: The Bone Wars.
Right.
There you go. Anyway, back to the lion.
Yes, sorry, we'll get too sidetracked if we're not careful. But no, I honestly, as someone who has openly said before, I don't want Lion back if he's just going to be another hero of the Imperium standing alongside Guilliman. And I've said that on record before because we talked about it at length on a couple of podcasts recently.
Oh, yeah. Oh.
And I'll be interested to see where Arcs of Omen 5 Lion goes. Is Lion just going to slot in alongside Guilliman, or is he going to become the new leader of Imperium Nihilus? No, because Dante exists. More on him later.
Yeah, apparently, according to the article, he's been palling around with Dante.
Why does it say that? I didn't read that.
Basically, like it comes out like when the Dark Angels launch their assault, and then Dante and the Lion both turn up at the same time.
Oh, is that in the Arcs of Omen article? I haven't opened that one yet. Yeah, I'll give that a read now. So yeah, Arcs of Omen 5, the Lion, is sort of going to be the might of the entire Dark Angels against the forces of Abaddon and Vashtor. So you can see Azrael and Lion together. So clearly, Lion is still very much an Imperial. He is still very buddy-buddy with the Dangles themselves. Yeah,
because from what it implies, it implies that Dante and the Blood Angels found the Lion, and then they brought him along with them to help the Dark Angels out. Which makes you think, like, Lion wasn't woken up by Vashtor's invasion of the Rock, but he was actually woken up by Marbus's invasion of the Rock, which occurred in 8th edition.
Yeah, I haven't actually read the lore behind the invasion of the Rock and everything else yet.
It seems to happen every bloody edition now, because it happened in 8th, it happened in 9th, it's going to happen in 10th more than likely.
Yeah, but no, I don't actually know what the story is.
Well, the Vashtor one, Vashtor basically invades the Rock, he gets close to breaking through the Silver Door, then he ends up getting punked out by Be'lakor. That's the too long didn't read version of it.
Fucking Be'lakor.
Yeah, Be'lakor punks him out, yeah.
Oh,
and the two end up... Yeah, but basically Vashtor ends up getting his shit kicked in by Be'lakor.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't Be'lakor one of those Chaos characters who, like, sometimes you got to throw him a bone because he gets dunked on a lot? Or am I thinking, yeah.
Yeah.
I wanted to make sure I wasn't getting him mixed up with, like, I don't know, Daniel from Total War Warhammer or something.
Meanwhile, by comparison, Marbus's invasion of the Rock resulted in Luther escaping, so... I think that's a more success, to the Dark Angel Demon Prince who looks like a furry. But hey.
Yeah, but by the same token, though, if Lion's been awake that long, where the has he been?
Apparently he's been boarding other Arcs of Omen and killing people and leaving dead plants behind, apparently. Well, I'm sure we'll find out for certain in his book when it comes out, but it seems like the whole hints of, like, the Blood Angels finding dead Chaos Space Marines that have been stabbed and shot and there's dead plants everywhere, apparently that links to the Lion somehow. Allegedly.
Right. I didn't know that the Lion and I had that in common, in that we're terrible at looking after plants.
You're both terrible at looking after plants, you're both cats,
True! Oh my gosh, you're right!
He slaughtered his way through the forest of Caliban, what were you expecting?
I just didn't realise he'd take it out on the forest itself, is all. Point. Give him an axe.
Yeah, so either way, what's going to be interesting for me, though, is how... obviously, Lion coming back is a big deal. But there's a couple of things left outstanding. One is the fact that the whole of 9th edition has been built around the Pariah Nexus, the Necrons, the Silent King. How are they...
And that went nowhere.
And that's gone nowhere, exactly. And two, how does this link to the Tyranids being the big bad of 10th?
Apparently it's because, it turns out that the forces of Leviathan at Bol, that was just the vanguard. This is the rest of the Hive Flayers. Like, hang on, you actually got to go and bring in the rest of Leviathan, which is a swarm so big it's literally bigger than the entire galaxy. Are you really going to try and go down that route? Because I think that's a bit too big even for 40k standards.
Maybe so.
You never know, right? Though I think I suspect that a lot of the sort of wider sweeping changes to the kind of overarching story of Warhammer often came as some kind of surprise. I mean, I didn't expect the galaxy to get ripped in half during sort of 8th and 9th edition. Yeah. And that was a pretty big deal.
Fair enough. You could argue, like, Pariah Nexus, that went nowhere. So basically, like, all of 8th edition went nowhere, 9th edition went nowhere. At least with 7th edition, it's like, where does 7th edition go? Well, we blew up Cadia, split the galaxy in half, and brought back Guilliman.
Yeah, I think 9th edition has tried to end on a bang by bringing back Lion out of fucking nowhere. But yeah, like, if you're going to bring
Randy Orton.
But like, if you're going to bring the Lion back, have it be something like, and this is absolute bollocks, but hear me out here. What if Vashtor's invasion of the Rock, they pursued the Chaos Forces into the Pariah Nexus, at which point the deadening effect of the Pariah Nexus acting on the Rock for the first time caused whatever was keeping the Lion asleep, maybe a warp-induced coma from his battle with Luther, the Chaos Gods deliberately shutting his mind down using magic.
And that wakes him up. And
that wakes him up. Or the Silent King, like, in the destruction, the Rock is so damaged that the Silver Door is cracked and something. Or have the Necrons be the one to invade the Rock because they want access to this remnant of a planet for the ingredients it had because it was so warp corrupted. They want to study it. I don't have something.
Funny enough, considering that the article teases that, Lion's going to face off against Angron and those two are going to have a punch up, wouldn't it have been more interesting to have the Lion face off against the Silent King?
Yes.
Because you don't get the Primarch against any Xenos. Like, because think of all the Xenos characters who are out there. I think the Silent King's realistically the only one who probably could go toe-to-toe with a Primarch.
And not die.
That's what I mean. Yeah, that's what I mean go toe-to-toe with, rather than just getting fed to the meat grinder.
Yeah, and I think they could conceivably come up with a way to not have the Silent King die, even though die Xenos filth is a thing.
Yeah, let's be honest, it's Necrons. You can literally just go, oh, by the way, teleport. Even it's not warp-based teleportation. By the way, portable webway gate.
Yeah, he strikes me. He strikes me as one of those ones that would always have some kind of get out of jail free ready, even if it means defying death itself. Which, you know what, as a Necron, you're kind of pretty good at that as it stands.
Yeah. Funny enough, it wouldn't even matter if Lion did kill Zarek, because Zarek would just come back to life because he's a fucking Necron.
Yeah, it's also worth noting. Sorry, I'm jumping in on top of people 100 times today.
No, you're good.
So Zarek's return was to prepare the galaxy for the coming of the Tyranids. So as much as 9th edition making the Necrons been the big bad has gone nowhere, at the very least, they have followed up the return of the Silent King with the coming of the Doom Swarm of Tyranids. At least there's a narrative thread there that I think we've actually overlooked. So fair play that they've set some sort of consistency.
Yeah, I suppose when you look at it that way, yeah, fair enough.
But no, I would have had the Necrons be the reason for the Lion waking up, or something involving the Lion and the Silent King would have probably been even better. Just something, because the Necrons have gone from being, they're doing shady things in the background. The Pariah Nexus is the thing. The Necrons are the rest. The Silent King is back, and nothing.
Speaking of Necrons and Pariah Nexus and all that, apparently there was a recent White Dwarf article which showed that Illuminor Xeris basically hijacked an entire ship full of blanks. Come on, Necron Pariahs!
Yes, please.
Yeah, bring them back. I love those guys. But one of those little things that I remember from the 4th edition days that I'm always like clamoring to have return. Like they've done Kassakin now, haven't they?
Yes.
So those are back into the count. I don't know if Defilers ever saw the light of day again, but
they're still in the book.
Okay, in that case, then, like, brilliant. In that case, then you just get me those Pariahs, and I'll be a very happy bunny.
Yeah, though if you like,
I'm a happy bunny because we got. I'm a happy bunny because we got our Beastmen and Squat box set.
Yes, if you're really old and fancy really old stuff done new, yes, Squats and Beastmen. I've got to say though, the Squat stuff is exactly what if you'd have told me that this is just the standard Squat kit minus the jump pack guy, I'd have completely believed you.
And the guy with the pickaxe. He was bedroll on his back.
No, but I could see that being like a unit champion with a melee weapon. I could have believed that. And his porn star mustache. Yeah, but I could have believed that just being the champion with a melee weapon. I know they've got one anyway with the axe. But I'm really pleased with what they've done with the Beastmen because they look very much like the AOS Beastmen, or like what AOS Beastmen should look like, because they haven't updated the range since 7th edition fantasy. But there's the odd little bit, like there's one with a bionic arm and a bolt pistol. and there's one
with a gas mask.
with a gas mask and a smoke belching hand, and there's a chainsaw, and there's another bolt pistol. Yeah, there's
smoke grenade. Yeah,
there's little bits that 40k a few of them up, so they're not just literally just stick them in AOS and they'll look fine.
Yeah. To be fair, although the Beastmen are classically a piece from fantasy that are now coming back into 40k, I think it's quite nice to see them in general, just to give that further bit of faction variety and more choices and what you can collect, because they've got a distinct look. I think I like them compared to the classic demon line, or you look at like the sort of chaos heretics or anything like that. And the same could be said for the squats. They look fucking rad. I really like their suits.
Oh shit! Is that a Korgor? The one next in the picture next to the one with the bionic hand, you got the one where it's got huge claws and a bit of a red tint to his skin, and he looks a bit more muscular. Is it a Korgor?
It might be.
That would be really cool if so.
Yeah, I think it looks like it's on the same sized base as the other one. So,
but he does look a bit more muscular.
Hopefully,
and he's got huge clawed hands rather than a weapon.
In which case, you just got to hope that when you get some more news on the stats, that will confirm it or not, right?
Hopefully.
Yeah, that'd be rad. I'm noticing terrain down there as well. Are those going to? I'm guessing they're not going to be part of the model set, but are those?
They'll be part of the box set.
Yeah, they're brilliant.
Stasis pods and escape pods and a medical bay. Nice.
Oh, dude, give me. This is all right. I was about to say something that was kind of stupid, but I like how this terrain looks. This is pretty neat.
Agree.
Yeah. Kill Team's kind of taken off. You were talking about the teasers that they were going to release Space Hulk and that sort of thing again. But I figure with Kill Team still going relatively strong, that you might see another one of the sort of smaller scale skirmish games like that back, don't you think?
Yeah, because there's a boarding actions game mode tied up inside the Arcs of Omen that's about to get shit canned anyway, because new edition. But it's interesting that I've always enjoyed the concept of boarding actions, and yet Zone Mortalis for Heresy, Kill Team on the Gallo Dark, and 40k with boarding actions, I've never found the time to actually play it because it requires such a terrain investment that we've never gone for it. Because conceptually, like when you read it in the literature, or you envision it in trailers or in your head, boarding actions always seem really freaking cool. And yet it's so hard to actually do because it's a lot more intricate, requires a lot more mechanics, a lot of terrain that you probably don't use for normal games, as well as a very limited amount of models that require, particularly for Kill Team, a very specific box to actually run because of all the unique parts that you require.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. Sorry, I wanted to say something. I realized I didn't have anything.
Right. Can we do Sigmar for a bit?
I suppose so.
Right. So they dropped the last of the Seraphon range. Holy cannolis. New Croxigor.
Holy cannolis.
Yeah, I know. So they've replaced the Coldron Knights with Agrodon Lancers, which can also be built with clubs instead of lances. So, yep, new Cold One Knight Riders, as well as a Scar Veteran on Agrodon, which looks really cool. I love the fact they've done an Albinosaurus, which is really cool. Not an Albinosaurus, an Albinosaurus. You know what I meant. New Croxigor, new Uber Croxigor called the Warspawned, as well as the army box being confirmed to be 10 Skink Cavalry, 10 Saurus Warriors, and a Slann. I think they should have put some Cold One Cavalry. I'm going to have to get unused to calling them Cold One Cavalry now. I think they should have done one squad of Skinks and one squad of Agrodons, personally, but that's just me.
I like how with the Croxigor, like, the basic Croxigors look like theropods, while the Warspawn look like crocodiles.
I was about to say, I remember Croxigors looking a little bit more crocodilian, and also a lot more like wide. These are looking much more slender. Still huge, but slender.
Yeah. It's also interesting reading the lore. The Warspawned, I watched a video about this game today, remind me of the bloody big daddies from BioShock, because they don't really function outside of combat. They have dedicated attendants that clean them and feed them. They're completely useless unless fighting. But if you so much as go near that skink, you are getting whacked.
So basically, Big Dino Daddy.
Big Dino Daddy.
I should not have even brought it up. I have made I have made a mistake.
I mean, I recently played the first BioShock for the first time, and I can completely see the comparison. It's kind of a rad concept, though. Them being quite literally living weapons of war in that case. But hey. I'm also very much. I'm looking at them. I'm growing a lot more fond of their new designs, especially the Warspawn. Those are looking awesome.
Yeah. To be fair, as someone who never bought into Lizardmen but always enjoyed the army conceptually, because they came out around the time I was starting to look at getting into fantasy with their 8th edition fantasy book, which gave them the old Croxigor as they are now, and the Pterodons and the Salamanders that have been replaced, and the Razordons and Chakax and the Temple Guard and all that. They're an army that have always appealed conceptually because they look really cool. It's a really unique concept. Dinosaurs riding dinosaurs say hi. But it's an army that, I know I'm not going to invest in Seraphon, but I really want somebody who I know to invest in Seraphon because I want to fight them and I want to get my hands on them and I want to try and paint one because they're so freaking cool. That's a really good place to be for an army, I think. It's you're not going to buy it, but you also really want to try it out, play against it, paint it, because it's just cool. That's a really good place to be, I think, for me.
But the models in general are really nice. I can see this being something that people might want to buy just to straight up paint.
So I've got to say, the Stegodon's looking bloody sad. The Croxigor are bigger than Stegodons. There's a picture at the bottom of the article where it shows a bit of an army. There's a Slann, there's Croak and all this. And literally, there are Croxigor stood next to an engine of the gods, and the Croxigor are taller than the Stegodon. It's ridiculous.
I'm trying to find... Oh, you're right. Oh, no kidding. That is a tiny, tiny little Stegodon.
And that came out in 2009, for context.
Well, I mean, maybe it'll probably be another...
do you remember... Do you remember when a bunch of new Imperial Guardsmen models came out and they were bigger than Firstborn Space Marines?
Yeah, I remember that. The Kazakin, since we mentioned them earlier.
Absolutely.
So I'm sure we're going to get an update. Hopefully we'll get an update to Stegodon down the line.
Yeah,
that's okay. That means that it matches the proportions in Dawn of War 1 where the Lord General is taller than the chaplain. Lord knows how the hell that happened, but... yeah, maybe it'll be another 5 or 10 years or so, but you might see a new Stegodon model that matches the new scale.
Yeah. Though, if you do like regular human beings, they finally revealed the first Cities of Sigmar refresh miniatures, and holy they're amazing. I love them so goddamn much.
Oh, they got the it's almost like a kettle helm they're wearing. I really like that look as well, and they've chosen some nice colours on them too to show those off.
Not too keen on the candy cane antlers on the middle one though, but
you could probably paint those to look a little bit different, but that is some very, very nice armor on them. I'm very fond of that as someone who loves the regular human beings. That was a good callback.
Yeah, I was glad of that one.
Yeah.
But no, I never played Empire in fantasy, but I did own the book, I read the book on Scribd, to be more exact. And since Cities of Sigmar became a thing, the Free Guild of the Humans is always an army I've looked at, but never invested in, because I've got my Dark Elves and what they've become. These models are, seriously good. It'll be interesting to see how, because they're very generic. They almost look like... If you told me that they were cosplay of medieval armor, I would believe you. There's nothing. I know they're high fantasy, and people can see the high fantasy about them, but they're also incredibly human. There's nothing magical. There's nothing really crazy about them. They just look like regular men and women who have picked up a sword and shield in the name of the God King exactly as intended. And like Empire players, when Old World comes out, are going to have a real choice to make. Are they going to use these models? Will they fit with Free Company Militia, for example? Cities players are going to be, well, I know I'm gassed and it's going to be really hard. How are they going to fit alongside things like the Luminarch of Hysh and the other more esoteric weapons? How are they going to tie that cohesive army together again for such a ragtag bunch of random humans as the Cities of Sigmar are? Are they going to have dwarves in there? Are they going to have elves in there? Probably not. But it's really interesting, and I know that if I had the money and time to invest in a new army, Cities of Sigmar is the one I'd be putting it aside for.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned that, they look relatively mundane, but I still think that there's enough of a unique flair to the way they look that there is still a fantasy aspect of them just being, I'm going to say over-designed in a good way, like not usually that's meant as a sort of derogatory or, critical term. Because for one, they've got these sort of tunics over them. There's a mix of clear chain as well as a few bits of plate and leather as well. Generally speaking, just composition-wise across the entire body, there's still a distinct flair to them. And I do see what you mean, though, about how people might struggle to fit them in with a more regimented army in the old world. But I don't know, maybe an interpretation of Southern Realms or Dogs of War,
Or maybe they'd fit better in Britannia as men-at-arms.
Oh, you're right. Actually, yeah, the kettle helm look does kind of fit with the sort of like battle pilgrim and peasant mob kind of thing they got going on. I like that idea. That's a good move.
Yeah. So yeah, good stuff. More cities, please. Bring it on. They are coming out, by the way. They did show the roadmap. They are coming out in the autumn. Seraphon are out in the summer alongside the General's Handbook and one other battle tome. The Ossiarch and Soulblight are coming out very, very soon. They got 2 new models, which we will quickly reference here. The Mortisan Ossifector for the Ossiarch, who is going to break so easily if you own even the slightly bad carry case. And Ivia Volga, which is a wolf vampire who actually likes bats, where, you had bat hair, now you have bat friends, and it's going to snap so freaking easily.
Oh yeah, that is ambitious. I mean, hopefully the molds are strong enough that they can maybe make it up for that. But very much a style over practicality on those. In any case, style is paying off. These are very, very nice looking models. I very much like Skelly Boy up there. That's a good one.
Fun enough, with the werewolf vampire, someone's already done a conversion idea for like a Photoshop of it being like a Felinid rogue trader.
Oh god.
Oh, I wouldn't be too surprised. Oh yeah, I see what you mean.
Oh god.
Gosh, those are those now making their way into, not in an official model line, but are those making their way onto tables now, Felinids?
No idea. I mean, they were mentioned in that book, Liber Xenologus, that was released a little while back.
Okay. Because, it doesn't quite look the way that I imagine Felinids, which is that guy's face on a cat's body,
Well, apparently, according to that book, they have, like, claws that are as long as a man's forearm. So, basically, huge, like, Weapon X style, claws.
Yeah, I was going to say, that is some Logan stuff going on there.
And it's all because Drayak Grek, the crew that pals around with Janus Dark, he basically can't tell one human apart from another. So basically all humans, including Appians, they all look the same to him.
They're going to grow out their nails just to make a point. Yeah, fair enough. Still, a lot of good conversion potential, but even as just a general model line, like seems like there's a lot of potential here to see how these go.
The final models from Adepticon. I know it's been 45 minutes. Bear with us. is Underworlds, because they've released a new box game called Weird Hollow alongside a new Stormcast warband again, but honestly, I think this might be the best one because they have a guy doing two guys doing literal telekinesis, one to lift rocks and one to run on rocks, which is really cool. And then you've got a pandemonium of demonic abominations and then a sorcerer summoner who's trying to create more demonic abominations because they just want to catalogue different demon breeds. And so you get all these random weird combos like a horror that's not all mouth and all this stuff, and it's actually
and
really
Sebulba
cool.
from Star Wars Episode 1 apparently as well.
Oh no, George Lucas has been making his way into the model table.
You know, the one that's walking on its arms and is using its legs to cast a spell.
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean, but no, it's a really interesting one. The Stormcast look bloody great. I'm sorry, but the Stormcast.
I really like the one with the white mask. I like that one.
Yeah, I actually prefer the one who's got the gold mask and the hood, who's lifting up the rock. Like, there's so much personality in that model to me.
I just want to say fair play to the person who actually painted the energy going around the rock in that one.
It's not
often Games Workshop actually paint stuff like that, so.
No, it's not OSL, but it's bloody impressive regardless.
It's a very nice looking set of models.
And now we have finished Adepticon.
Hooray!
And
annoyingly, 45 minutes.
We're still. The problem is, like, even if Adepticon hadn't happened, we still had a chunk to talk about. Like, there were 3 new boarding patrols revealed for the Sororitas, the Custodes, and the Thousand Suns, even though the Thousand Suns one has no HQ in it. Go fucking figure. They revealed the Slanesh Battle Tome rules, which allow you to give your opponent a free 6, like, in return for you gaining depravity points, like temptation dice, which is so basically in the old days, Tzeentch used to roll 9 dice at the start of the game called Fate Dice, and they could use them to change a roll into a roll they needed. What these do is you get 6 6s at the start of the game, and you can offer them to your opponent. And if they take one, and so it's each battle round, you get 6 dice, and each time your opponent makes a failed roll, you can offer them a temptation dice to turn it into a 6 that's unrerollable and unmodifiable, but you get depravity points, which is how they summon and get buffs, and they take D3 mortal wounds in return.
Oh, now that is a really cool trade-off mechanic.
Yeah,
I very much like that as an idea because it gives you a lot of opportunities to, you know, in a weird way. I know Tzeentch is the schemer, but it lets you as the Slanesh player, it lets you kind of make your long-running schemes to, my opponent's going to actually take this short-term advantage, but this just means that I get more long-term ones. That's radical. That feels like you really are in the shoes of a demon lord.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's also worth noting that if you can get yourself 12 depravity points, your entire army is at -1 to being hit. If you can get yourself to 36, your entire army has a 5-up ward save. So, like, genuinely, in the space of one battle round, if you roll perfectly, you could have 36 depravity points and have your entire army at -1 to being hit. Each 6 is a mortal wound on top, and they all have a 5-up ward save, purely because your opponent couldn't resist nicking 6s off you.
Bloody hell, I guess you got to hope that if you're facing an army like that, you got to believe in your fundamentals, right? You got to make sure that your army can stand up on its own without needing the 6s.
Yeah, like, if you're an army that relies on, like, 6 effects chaining off, then you could, if a roll of 6 does this, like, as a Slanesh player, you might actually not want to offer them the dice because you have to offer it. So it's not like your opponent say, give me a temptation dice. You have to offer it to them. So the Slanesh player is actually in total control of when your opponent can have them.
Yeah, that seems like a necessity because, otherwise, as you rightfully say, you can develop a strategy built around taking advantage of the Slanesh player. If the player has to offer it to you, then the ball's in their court. And that just seems like way easier to balance that around in a game that has, like, dozens of factions now. So, yeah.
Indeed. And a leak happened that meant that Lion wasn't the only major space marine to turn up, because annoyingly they leaked or sent out, or something happened that meant they had to reveal Dante early, which is really annoying for Dante. Because Dante has just been massively overshadowed by Lion, even though Dante himself looks amazing because some idiot leaked it somewhere, either in-house or not.
What happened allegedly was that someone ordered the old Dante model and got sent the new one by mistake, allegedly. And it's not the first time that stuff's happened, because there was a time ages ago that someone ordered like it was like a plastic orc war boss, and they got like the commemorative anniversary Gorka Morka one instead by accident.
Oh. Oh dear.
So it's not the first time this has happened, but some people are saying this is deliberate. Some people are saying it's not. But considering that Games Workshop's warehouse has been a bit weird as of late.
Actually, I got the story of that. I don't know how much I can say, but I know the story is what's been going on with Games Workshop's warehouse. I heard about it from one of the third-party stores that I shop at.
You got the scoop?
I got the scoop. I don't know how much of this I can say, so let's just say they tried to move
Preface this by saying allegedly.
So, I got it straight from the birdie's mouth. It's just I don't know if this is something that is known, but apparently they moved a warehouse from point A to point B, and point B is nowhere near fit for purpose. I tried to pre-order the Arcs of Omen box today, so I could get it in store rather than having to order it off Element Games or Games Workshop or whatever. And they said, I don't know if I can get you one because we're being sent way less than we'd expect.
Funny enough, I did pre-order like a limited edition novel 2 weeks ago, and it's been like nearly 2 weeks, and normally they dispatch it within a week. I was like, am I going to have a situation where like, oh, we haven't got enough stock, so we've got to refund you? So I contacted them. It's like, oh yeah, we've been having issues picking and packing orders. And then literally like an hour after I got that email back, it was dispatched. So I think they just kind of forgot or something. I don't know.
Possibly. Well, anyway. Sorry, go on.
No, I was just going to say, at least it did get dispatched at all. Because in some cases, you can have some of the wildest warehouse problems. Like a Kickstarter I backed the other day. Posted an update where they said, we've handed it over to this other company to ship it to our US backers, and we got these photos of the warehouse, and it was all of their stock that they were going to send to the US just like spilling out of the back of a lorry. It was like, oh.
Shit.
Okay.
It wasn't Hermes, was it?
Oh, no. As much as I wish it was. To be fair, they disclosed it, so it might have been Hermes or Every that they've rebranded themselves to. Yeah.
Anyway, Dante.
Yes, Dante. Yes. Looks nice.
Looks really good. Yeah. Like, if we weren't here gushing over Lion, and to be honest, I know I was gushing over Lion, I'd probably be gushing over Dante, because can we just appreciate the fact that, like, he is still clearly Dante? Like, unlike Azrael, it's the same model but bigger. Like, they've done something to change how he looks compared to old Dante. And yet, it's so undeniably Dante. Like, the jump pack looks like a fucking jump pack.
Yeah, but it's still got those stupid little back wings on it, like the new Primaris ones have, and it looks stupid. I know. I don't like it.
I know. It's got the back jets of a Primaris. It looks like a Primaris one from the back, but from the front, the vents actually look like an old one, which is just a nice change of pace. And he's still clearly got the Axe Mortalis. Yes, it's a bit bigger, but still got an Infernus pistol that hasn't been made to look any different. The Death Mask still looks similar. It's just been tweaked around a bit. The Iron Halo's been moved, and he's just been made bigger, bulkier. Oh, and they gave him a tabard, I guess.
I think the tabard kind of helps the design stick together, because otherwise he would just be a giant slab of gold, I think. But
helps convey some motion as well.
Yeah, it does actually, because it's got that like the little it gives it sorry, I can't find the words for it, but
dynamism.
Yeah, the older features that he kind of keeps, the older jump pack, the older pistol, and everything.
Sandals.
Just the sandals. They feel very in line for a character who is canonically meant to be that old. Like, why wouldn't you get used to your old gear and want to stick with it, right?
Yeah, he's 1,500 years old.
God, if I was that old, I would probably be. Well, I don't know. I'd probably be hoping I'd be wearing something that nice, but really, really like the what do you call them? The laurels? Is that the green?
The wreath, the laurel wreath, yeah.
The laurel wreath. There we go. Yeah. Sorry, sometimes I don't know my own words. Maybe I'm a bit like Dante. I'm having a senior moment. But yeah. Really like that model though. I think, as you say, rightfully, the lion kind of overshadows it a bit, which is a shame because he's got that proper Greco-Romano sort of influence to him. That's always nice to see. Now
here's the question, because of the timing of the leak, meaning that they couldn't show everything, they had to put him with regular, like the Blood Angels army as it stands now. I am going to call it now that we've got Primaris Dante. I think we're going to get Primaris Sanguinary Guard now.
More than likely.
Wouldn't be too surprised.
Yeah, so we'll see.
A little detail just from the model. I'm noticing there is a Death Company helmet that's sort of sticking out of the ground there.
Oh yeah, that's a neat touch.
Is that a Primaris Death Company? I'm looking at.
Yes, yeah, that's been a thing for a while since in the Blood Angels Codex. Death Company Intercessors has been a thing for a while.
Yeah, I guess it checks out. They've still got that going on with their genes.
Everyone thought Call had cured it. They thought wrong again.
Look, he's a tech priest, not a miracle worker. I'm just saying.
Yeah. That's about it on news. They did reveal. Oh, sorry, go on.
Also, they also revealed the Horus Heresy campaign book.
Yes, the Fall of Chthonia, but it doesn't really say anything about it much at all. There's no new models to go with it because of Heresy Thursday. If you play Heresy,
there will be new models coming out for it, for like new commander models.
Yeah, they just didn't reveal any in the preview. Yeah. So because we had so much to say, I sort of just glossed over it.
Yeah, that's fair enough. Oh, and Necromunda had a PDF update which allows you to use vortex grenades in Necromunda.
Well, that's a shit idea.
No, I think you mean that's a hilarious idea.
And terrible.
You're gonna lose
vortex
half the hive.
Vortex grenades are hilarious. Hey, I'm a second edition player. I remember how hilarious vortex grenades always were on the battlefield.
They were a thing in 5th edition Apocalypse as well. There was a special template for them.
Yes, but same back in second.
I remember that because that would cause a couple laughs at the table, especially with the what was the it was a mech model, wasn't it? Where it was an orc mech model that was shooting like
shock attack gun.
Yeah, that was incredible. I loved that model.
Yeah. Oh well, someone actually made like a 3D version of the vortex grenade template.
Oh. They used it. Yeah, I've seen that before in the 5th edition Tale of Four Gamers final battle report. They were playing an Apocalypse game. The chaplain threw a vortex grenade and he died to it.
Because I remember the old how the old second edition template looked.
Oh yeah, the 3D one is much.
That's a CD.
I mean, it was 1993. What do you expect?
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
It gives me old Yu-Gi-Oh card vibes. But yeah, to be fair, like you know how it is. The 3D template, I imagine that's kind of hard to use on the table sometimes, right? But then again, you're not going to be putting anything under it, so maybe that's fine. Is that the vehicle turning? Oh, that's so good.
The vehicle turning template from the second edition.
Now we're on a nostalgia trip here. That's great.
With the old Rogue Trader Land Raider as the picture.
Yeah. So it's so look at how far we've come.
Yeah, that's not made of plastic.
It's no longer made out of lead and dreams.
But do you remember the Thud Gun template?
I don't. This isn't an orc weapon, is it?
No, it's an Imperial weapon. Basically, you had like 4 of these templates pinned together, and you had to like rotate them, basically which direction they all go in, but they were all pinned together.
Oh yeah. I remember there being a grenade template that did that in 5th. There was a weird pipe that was like 4 grenades together.
That's kind of cool, to be honest. It's sort of it's making me think of like a creative way of doing that concept without using a scatter die.
Mm.
That's kind of neat. I like that a lot. We haven't had anything like that in modern day 40k, have we?
No, the nearest thing I remember is, I don't know if it was the Master of Ordnance or something, but there was a weapon that fired. You fired a pie plate, and then you rolled a scatter dice and d6, and then the second shot landed wherever the scatter dice told it to land. So you've had one shot where you wanted it and one shot that scattered, and I don't know who it was that did it.
I could see it being Master of Ordnance, but then again, that's a Marine model, isn't it? Master of Ordnance.
No, it's the guard model from the command squad to regimental officers.
I'm thinking of that set of captains that are like the Master of the Watch and everything like that. Yeah, no, the Ordnance one, I can now vividly remember how that looks now. Yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah, there was some of the best ones. The Officer of the Fleet, the Master of Ordnance, and the Astropath. That was a great little kit. That.
Yeah, they were really nice to have.
It was, yeah.
Cool. Well,
nostalgia bait.
Okay, well that's a wish for 10th edition, is for them to bring back these sorts of things, but
yeah, I know they're never going to do it because it'll make the game more complicated, but God, I miss pie plates when I play blast weapons and flamers. God, I miss them.
Yeah.
Good times.
What's next? I mean, I'm a sucker for nostalgia. Like, I think anyone who's listened to a podcast with me on it before, especially the Adeptus Podcastus ones, will know I'm very much into the older age of 40k. But so to save us from that, it's probably worth moving on.
Well, no, it's interesting, this whole nostalgia thing, because I'm in such a strange position because I'm a 5th edition baby. Like, I grew up and learned 40k off 5th edition. And yet, because I've been teaching 9th so much, like, I played a bunch of 5th, didn't really play 6th because it was dog water, then played a bunch of 7th, didn't play a bunch of 8th because of learning to teach, breaking my arm, and COVID, then didn't play 9th for ages, suddenly ran a Warhammer club where I was playing 9th all the time, so I have a real appreciation for 9th, and now it's like, we're getting the simple, like, universal rules and common sense, like, this is how you standardize playing the fucking game of 5th, with the actual sensible, quick pick-up-and-play rules design that in it from Age of Sigmar, from 9th, hybridizing it together to make 10th, and I'm like, yeah, this sounds like my dream edition, and I can't wait to play it. Especially now that I've got a new Farsight, I am literally like, I need to play more Warhammer. And I haven't felt like that in so damn long.
Well, that's a good feeling, though, right? It means, you want to get back into going full scale with the hobby again, and that's good.
Yeah. And like what they're doing with 10th, I know we're not going to talk much about 10th, but what they're doing is they're completely streamlined stat lines. So if you take a look at a 9th edition data sheet, it's actually quite complicated. And the 10th edition ones, they did show one. I'm just trying to find which article they put it in. Here we go. So they actually showed the Termagant sheet, and it's completely radically different. And one of the things I found so difficult when teaching Warhammer at Warhammer Club was strength, toughness, and attacks for melee and ranged, and also, hit rolls and stuff. Because you had to consult ballistic skill for this thing, and then you had the different modifiers for different weapons, and you had the weapon skill, and then strength, but actually you just look at the weapon strength, and then the unit strength, and then the number of attacks you had was in different places, and then you had to compare to toughness and all of this. And now what they've done is your stat line is only 6 things. Movement, toughness, armor save, wound count, leadership, which is, well, if Termagant's a leadership 8, then there's a fucking problem. So I'm not sure what they're doing with leadership. And this new stat OC, which is objective control, which is replacing OBSEC, the BS of one Space Marine can overscore a Primarch because he has OBSEC. No. So what they've done is each weapon now has its own, attack stat, ballistic skill or weapon skill stat, its own strength, its own AP, its own damage. All you have to do is look at that weapon.
Okay, I guess that, yeah. Seems like that's going to stream like that quite well. It's interesting just because like just the very concept of ballistic skill and weapon skills seems like that's something that should be tied to the model rather than to the weapons. But for communication and just making the game go quicker, that seems way better.
Yeah, it's also because, for example, power fists cause a -1 to hit penalty because they used to be initiative 1. Now they confer a -1 to hit penalty. Instead of having to go, right, my hit roll's 5+, take away 1, it's, okay, that weapon has a weapon skill of 6+. You just can look and it's bang, quick, immediate. And instead of having like, when a unit chooses to attack with this weapon, it makes 3 attacks with this weapon for each one it would make. Like, no. So you can either make 4 attacks with this weapon or 12 attacks with that one. That's how we talk about it. So the card should reflect how we talk about it. Like, twin linked. The fact they put twin linked on there, Spine Fist is assault pistol twin linked. If you want to summarize a weapon keyword easily, just put the keywords there, refer back to Universal Special Rules, bing bang bosh. I know by glancing at that card, if I own Spine Fist, I've got 2 shots hitting on 4s, re-rolling to hit. I can move and shoot them without penalty. I can shoot them in melee. They're strength 3, AP nothing, damage 1. I don't even have to think. Or I do have to think because I need to think of what I'm going to shoot with. But I don't have to think about like reading. And it's going to make learning the game really, really fast. But it's not going to lose any of the complexity because all they've done is got rid of the word salad and the actual, having to navigate the card.
Yeah, that's kind of what you want from a sort of modernized version of the game. And not to mention the sort of concerns I had about like, oh, well, surely, the skill should be tied to the model. It's like, to be fair, the game's been built around certain abstractions for a long, long time. I mean, if you really think about it, the idea that you have to roll to hit, then roll to see if the bullet even hurts you, and then to roll if your armor protects you from it is a really weird order, but it makes sense when it comes to playing the game, right?
And you roll, your opponent rolls.
Yeah, precisely. It's way quicker than you having to jump back and forth between the two of you, and especially now that like you've got things like invulnerable saves and ward saves that can be the separation between, doesn't have to be armor. Makes that work even better as well. So
agreed.
You know how it is. Yeah.
So no, it is really, really impressive. And as someone who runs and has to think about the game, not in the context of just I need to play it, but in the context of I need to teach it, and I need people who are literally 11 years old to understand it to the point that I can leave them to play the game unsupervised after I teach it. With Ninth, we had about 2 or 3 months where we could not leave the students to play a game without a member of staff constantly stood in the gaming area, making sure they were reading the rules correctly, checking it, doing the correct calculation, and working all of that out. Now, it's taken us 6 months, but I sat painting all day. One of my colleagues wandered round. One of my colleagues played their own game off in a corner. The other one showed up with some models and then dipped. Because we didn't have to supervise. 10th, that teaching process is going to be lightning fast, I think. Because Age of Sigmar, I could teach Age of Sigmar in 1 game. 40k I needed a month.
Yeah. That's that's the way it goes. I can relate to that as being in a little Warhammer club back when I was around about 10 or 11, where I was in that little Warhammer club for I think about like 7 or 8 months, and I still wouldn't remember all the damn rules. That was back in 4th edition.
4th edition was complicated as hell, as I understand it.
Yeah. I think the smoothest game I remember ever playing of that was one where I was playing as Marines, my opponent was playing Tyranids, and the map was just a straight line. So the Tyranid player would go, okay, I guess I move towards you, and I go, okay, I guess I shoot you. And that was the smoothest game we ever had of Warhammer. Because by the time we got into melee combat, most of them were dead. And I was like, oh. But yeah, no, the things are looking good for 10th edition. I hope they go in a good right direction.
Yeah, I think it's going to be very interesting. We'll need to see how it all shakes out sort of in the next week or so with codices, etc. But I think they've really got it in a good place, and I'm looking forward to seeing it.
Absolutely. That's the future. The future is looking bright for such a grim, dark world.
Yeah,
the future's bright. The future's orange. Remember those adverts?
God, that's an old reference.
Yeah,
that's. I I was trying to weave that into a Warhammer joke, but now that I think about it, not many factions that primarily wear orange besides.
Well, there's a squat one. There's a squat army that has orange as the predominant colour.
I was just about to say. Yeah, I was just about to say squats. Yeah, ochre.
Oh, get in the bin with your Ponzi art words. It's fucking pale orange.
Well, technically, it's more of a sandy brown.
Rem, shut up.
That's just a person's name at this point. I don't know. Yeah. Look, I love colours. I could split hairs about colours all day. Orange. Not many Marines wearing orange. Maybe I think there's like the Falcon Warriors. Am I making that up? Am I Mandela affecting myself?
I think there's an orange Marine chapter, but I can't remember who they are.
Orange, you guy, and you didn't say banana.
Fuck off. Yeah. Oh gosh. Well, that's the Custodes, right? The Banana Boys.
Hey.
Hey.
Ding ding ding. Speaking of colours, there was an article today about they do this every time they do spiffy models. Is they give them out to a bunch of creators and say, "Hey, go paint them because we want them to do them." And some of the stuff they've done with the Farsight and Snickrot models are really, really cool. Every single person who's painted Farsight has painted cherry blossoms, because of course they fucking did. But they've done some really cool stuff like classic Enclaves colours. There's one that's the Farsight in Violan White, which is the armour he would wear were he still a loyalist. One in Jet Neon Black, which is really cool. And one that's been converted into the biggest fuck you come and get some I think I've ever seen. It's Izzy from Tabletop Titans. I know I am not brave enough to do this conversion because it's Farsight and I dare not, but like that has got the biggest fuck you come get some I have ever seen in like a Tau.
Yeah, it's imposing as hell. It makes me think of the kind of stance you'd see on like some depictions of like Wraith Lords and Wraith Knights and things like that.
Just stood there staring at you like, yeah, you want to go?
Yeah.
I don't know why, but I'm just hearing the theme tune for Beast Wars 2 coming out. If anyone's actually heard that theme song, you know exactly what I mean.
Someone also painted a purple Snickrot, but sorry, I cut you off.
I want to see Purple Snickrot. Where is he on this page?
Ha!
I think I've. Oh, that's probably. Oh. I was gonna say. Oh, for a moment I thought you were duping me there.
That's it.
The whole never see a purple orc. There you go. He'd be unstoppable in those colours.
And then someone just didn't bother with Snero and turned into a pain boy.
I mean, to be fair,
it's a great conversion.
Oh, yeah.
His little what do you call them? The night vision goggles kind of lend themselves quite well to the pain boy aesthetic there. He's really channeling a lot of goblin energy for an orc with the sort of general head shape on there.
Very Grotznik.
Grotznik.
To be fair though, that is, if you told me that was the new Grotznik model, I'd believe you.
Yeah. It looks
rip in peace Grotznik.
Oh no, have we lost a legend?
Well, he's not in the book, I don't think.
Oh, he snuck away.
He's too busy blowing up everyone's heads. They performed surgery on a bunch of Bad Moon knobs, and he planted bombs in their heads and started blowing them up because they all pissed him off.
Yeah, and then they had a Death Dread attack him, which is why he went insane.
Whoa, some kind of suicide squad. That's just what I'm thinking. You're talking about bombs.
Apparently he was actually singing and dancing when he was blowing up those knobs' heads as well.
Yeah, because his grots did the surgery to save him.
Oh. Well, you know, do you think orcs would be pretty good performers? Do you think they could do the old song and dance well, or do you think
they can't do organisation at all?
Okay,
well,
true.
and blood axes can.
Okay, most of them.
All right. They could contend to be on Strictly. You know, they do all right.
Strictly come war.
Strictly come war. That'd be a contest I'd love to see.
Wait, they did a painting guide on how to paint Farsight on Warhammer TV. Right, I need to go watch that later because I didn't realise they'd done that. Right, okay.
They could always do the Great British Crump Off.
Great British Crump Off. What is it? Just like different ways that you have to crump a git.
Yeah.
I'd love to see
Everyone
that.
gets given a grot and you have to beat him up. Smack him like this.
Who'd be the best judges for that? Do you think it? You know what? I think the best judges for that would be the ones on Bake Off, because they would not know what to say. They just go like, oh, well, you've really brought out the red out of that one. Really looks lovely. Yeah, because I smashed his head in. His brains is all over the floor. Yeah, well, you're not really doing very well there in terms of
I mean, you did leave. You did take his leg off, so you have got a bit of a soggy bottom going on.
Oh gosh, the orcs in any situation are always a blast. I love that.
Speaking of Great British Bake Off, rather, and because this is tangentially related to some things related to the professional wrestling scene recently.
Oh God, where are you going with this?
Did you know Sami Zayn wants to appear on that show?
On Bake Off?
Oh,
yeah, he wants to appear on it.
I'd love to see that.
Okay, fair enough. Swapping the tribal chief for, I was going to say the terrible chef, but that's a bit rude to Paul Hollywood.
Someone says it's baking sucks and he just hits him with a haluva kick. Anyway. Back to 40k related shenanigans.
Oh, I own about 95% of these paints. I think I can actually do this. Okay, right. I'm going to have to watch that. I'm going to put that on my watch later.
Yeah.
Anyway,
sorry.
What else was there?
News-wise, we finished about 20 minutes ago.
Hooray!
Sweet.
This was supposed to be the end of the Death podcast, wasn't it?
Yes, I did finish reading through it. I can't bloody talk though. Yes, I did finish reading through it. There you go, proper enunciation. I'll just say I'm probably going to speed through talking about what happens because, quite frankly, there is an absolute shit ton that happens, and there's also a shit ton of padding as well, which was, quite frankly, not bloody needed. You have a good half of one chapter going on about this is an Imperial command post, this is where so-and-so used to stand, and this is where so-and-so used to run reports, and this is where so-and-so was shot, and this is where so-and-so was dragged down, here's their bloodstain. And I know they're trying to set the themes, set the scene and all that, but dedicating half a chapter, you don't really need half a chapter to find out where Mrs. Doyle was standing to make the fucking tea. All you had to turn around and say is this was a loyalist command center and it's been overrun by the traitors. There, one sentence, I've just summed up half a fucking chapter.
Bam.
Yeah, but I'm not going to go from the start to the end. I'm going to focus on just one group of characters at a time because there's a lot of going back and forth. There's a lot. So anyway, there will be spoilers, so skip to the timestamp in the description if you wish to avoid them, because I know some people haven't read the book as of yet.
Because the book's barely come out.
Exactly. So, entering the spoiler room brawl in 3, 2, 1. Hulk Hogan is the third man of the NWO. Is that really a spoiler by that point? Probably not, because it was 1996. But anyway. Yes. We start in the throne room. We'll start with Malcador. Malcador. Yeah, Malcador. Bloody hell. Why can't I say?
I was going
Michael Macador. Oh, God.
Yeah, sorry. Continue, mate.
I don't know why, but I have this mental image of Malcador being played by Joe Pasquale, and I don't know why.
A fan casting. Go for it. That'd be great.
Anyway. Malcador standing in front of the Golden Throne, basically trying to send a psychic probe into the Emperor's head, saying, hey, you kind of need to get up now. The Atreides are literally right outside the fucking door. You need to do something. Are you going to wake up? Are you going to wake up? Are you going to wake up? And he's like this for several chapters. Come on, are you going to wake up? Are you going to wake up? Rogel, Dawn, and Sanguinius are basically made their way into the Sanctum Imperialis. Sanguinius is really bloody hurt because of his fight with Angron.
Yep.
Apparently, he's actually mortally wounded. Keep that in mind.
So that's how they managed to avoid Angron just being Sanguinius' bitch after he already beat Commander. Good.
Yes. Malcador's constantly just saying, hey, Emperor, you need to get up. You need to fight. And eventually, the Emperor does get up out of his chair, and he tells Malcador, right, you're going to have to sit in the golden throne while I'm up, because we've just learned that the Vengeful Spirit has lowered its shields. So what we're going to do is launch a boarding action. So in the meantime, you are going to sit on the golden throne. Oh, what's that? Oh, the webway gate's opened. Oh, hi, Vulcan. Glad to see you. And it's like, hello, I'm back now.
This is the Vulcan who has just got finished with beating the shit out of Magnus, as I recall.
And was turned into a skeleton, yes.
Right.
He's no longer a skeleton. But the basic plan is Malcador's going to sit on the golden throne in the Emperor's absence.
Yep.
And Vulcan's going to guard him, because if Malcador dies before the Emperor gets back, Vulcan has to sit on the golden throne instead.
Not that Vulcan's psychic enough to do it, but okay.
No, but it just needs someone there. And it's like, you're durable enough, you'll do.
Yeah.
I'm thinking of the Evangelion bit where it's like, get in the golden throne, Malcador, or Vulcan will have to do it again.
Oh god.
Poor guy.
Yeah. But then again, I don't think Neve's seen Evangelion.
No.
Yeah.
You've not seen Akira, you've not seen Evangelion. Fucking anyway, digress. So Malcador ends up sending instructions to all of his chosen. Basically, right, last minute plans, because I know I'm going to die sitting on this chair. So it's last minute instructions. He sends one instruction to Khalid Hassan, one of his chosen, and it's a decree marked Terminus.
Hello.
Yes, we find out what the Terminus decree actually is, because it's not the Talisman of Seven Hammers. No, the Terminus decree is actually Basileus Foe's bioweapon designed to kill all transhumans in existence. Basically, all Space Marines, all Primarchs. That is the Terminus decree.
It's the Marine shutdown.
Yes.
So if the Space Marines were... That was the Emperor's contingency.
Yes.
He had a plan in case the Legion... Okay, that makes a lot of fucking sense, but also that's really fucking cool.
So it's like... I think we all thought it was going to be Vulcan's talisman, basically turning Terra into a big incinerator. But no, it's the bioweapon by Basileus Foe. So yeah. Trying to think, where else can we go from here? Oh yeah, so Emperor tells Dawn, Sanguinius, and Valdor, it's like, right, this is the plan. Dawn, Valdor, get your best men. You'll come with me. Sanguinius, you're staying here to basically be the leader in case the traitors break through. We need someone to inspire the loyalists for defenders and all that.
And
you're staying here.
Went, fuck off.
Sanguinius didn't even say anything. He was just like, pout. Dawn, Valdor, and the Emperor make their preparations. And Sanguinius is like, it's a stupid idea, Dad, because I foresaw my death at the hands of Horus. If I'm here, and I know I'm going to die at Horus's hands, but if I die at Horus's hands here, that means you failed to stop him. But if I'm on the Vengeful Spirit and he kills me there, you have a chance to stop him. So it makes more sense for me to go with you.
That is one of the most rational deductions of, I'm going to go with you so I die in the right place. That's clever. Well done, Sang.
Yeah. And the Emperor's like, all right, fine, you can come with me. So they make their teleportation onto the Vengeful Spirit. And obviously, as you know, they get separated.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the Emperor and a bunch of custodians, they end up in a hangar bay. But the hangar bay is full of Stormbirds and Thunderhawks that are still painted in the livery of the Lunar Wolves.
Right.
And they're like, that's a bit weird. Why haven't they repainted them to the Sons of Horus? Wait, Hangar Bay 8. There is no Hangar Bay 8 on the Vengeful Spirit.
Oh.
And
warp fuckery.
Yeah. And the warp fuckery starts affecting the Custodes. And the Custodes, basically most of them start getting driven insane. And then they start attacking the Emperor.
Oh, fuck.
So the Emperor's basically the ones who don't attack the Emperor, they're basically lying on the floor convulsing because they're trying to fight it off. But the others, they attack the Emperor, and the Emperor's basically forced to kill his own bodyguards.
Ew.
he kills those ones, but the ones who fight it off, he ends up like, purifying them. I was like, no, you're fine. Right, you're coming with me. Valdor and his custodians are elsewhere on the ship, basically literally surrounded by like an entire horde of demons that are just sitting there going like, just fighting off literally an innumerable horde. Like, Valdor burns out the power generator on his sword within 9 seconds. That's how many, by killing so many in 9 seconds.
Fucking
right
hell.
time.
Like,
Yeah.
it's not difficult, it's just tedium.
Yeah. Rodorn is in some desert.
Heh. What fuckery.
Yeah, warp fuckery. The only one who's not affected by the warp fuckery is Sanguinius and his guys. They're on the Vengeful Spirit and they're killing, finding a way through the Sons of Horus. And because, as you know, as per the Sanguinius novel, Sanguinius spent well over a year with the Sons of Horus before he was reunited with his legion.
He knows that boat.
He knows the Vengeful Spirit like the back of his hand, and he knows the fact, they keep their power generators in different places compared to other Gloriana-class cruisers. Right, you guys, go there, shut it down now, bum. They're taking their objectives super quickly. They're basically just carving their way through, the Sons of Horus.
Go Sang.
Yes.
Or is it more warp fuckery because it's too easy?
No warp fuckery. Sanguinius does get injured even more, and the wounds that was partially closed on his chest, under his armor, that rips open. He's bleeding quite heavily now. He knows he's going to die soon, but he's like, fuck this, I'm just going to beat the shit out of everything in my way.
He knew that anyway.
Yes. Back on Terra, back in the palace, literally as soon as the Emperor and everyone teleports to the Vengeful Spirit, literally as soon as that happens, they get a transmission from Gilliman. They're 9 hours away.
And that's why Horus dropped the shields.
Well, apparently... Well, I'll get to that when I get to Horus's part of the story.
All right, apologies.
No. And, everyone's like, are you sure Gilliman's 9 hours away? Right. Fuck. Right. Oh, Lionsgate. The Lionsgate spaceport are opening fire upon the Vengeful Spirit. We need to tell them to stop. Who's in charge? White Scars. Okay. White Scars, you need to stop firing. Why? Because we launched a boarding assault on it. You need to stop shooting in case you hit it. Well, that's the thing. We've been shooting at it, but we can't fucking hit it. There's
Warp
something
fuckery.
surrounding the shit. Yeah, warp fuckery. Yeah, basically. Yeah. And speaking
The
of
answer
warp
to most
fuckery,
things in this book is warp fuckery, isn't it?
yeah. And speaking of warp fuckery, Terra itself is being dragged into the warp itself very slowly, and that's also affecting time on the planet.
How? Sorry, stop. How?
Because at the very first book, the Solar War, the Thousand Sons conducted a ritual which opened up a giant warp rift which allowed Horus's forces to bypass most of the Solar System's
Yes, I
defenses.
recall that, yep.
And that's and that warp rift is still open.
Okay, so
Terra's
the warp has
slowly-
gravity. So the warp has a gravitational field now. That's new. Okay.
No, it's not. It's not gravitational field. It's expanding.
Ah, right, I'm with you.
So so it's not so much the planet's being dragged into the warp so much as the
warp
is
swallowing
gradually.
it.
Yeah.
Tomato. Same point applies.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Either way, more warp fuckery because time's going weird. So that 9 hours to Terra might as well be a month.
Yeah. And it's not just that, but it's also affecting reality as well, to the point now, Garvio Loken, I'll touch upon him briefly, but Garvio Loken, he goes from one place, opens a door, and he's in another place that should be about a 3 or 4 hour walk away. He's like, wait, how the fuck did I get here? Kind of thing.
Did he get a message from Malkador because he was a knight errant or not?
I'll touch upon that later.
Sorry.
But yes, Euphrates Keeler's with a whole bunch of refugees are like, where do we go? No idea. There's nowhere that's safe. Who else? Corswain. Okay, we'll touch on Corswain, who's at the Hollow Mountain, the site of the Astronomicon. As you know from the last book, the librarian that was with him was killed by the Fallen. So Corswain's plans are basically fucked. Meanwhile, Zahario, who's one of Luther's guys, talks with a couple of the other Fallen and says, we need to basically be on Corswain's side for this, because if Terra falls, then our plans for Caliban kind of go down the fucking toilet. So we're going to help Corswain and the Loyalists for now, just so because it helps further our goals in the future. Now, Corswain's plans of reactivating the Astronomicon basically went to shit because the librarian that was with them is dead. But Zahario turns and says, "Hey, me and these two guys, we're actually psychers as well. We just, weren't allowed to be part of the Librarius following, the decree of Nicaea." And Coleswain's like, "Well, I've got no better options. I'm reinstating you three to the Librarius as of immediately. Get to work."
Yeah, fair.
And Coleswain's second in command, I've forgotten his name, but he turns around and said, like, "You do realise that the Lion's going to basically tear you a new arsehole for doing this, right?"
At least there'll be a terror to save.
Yeah. Coleswain literally says, like, "I bloody hope he does, 'cause that means we would survive."
Good line.
Yeah. Now, as it turns out, Typhus and the Death Guard are marching towards the Hollow Mountain. They're 3 days away. So, right, okay, we need to make preparations before they get here. But because of warp fuckery, they're there in 1 day. They had a whole time paradox and warp teleport thing. They're literally at the walls now. It's like, oh, fuck. Fighting against Death Guard. Typhus basically casts like some psychic spell that basically helped demoralize the Dark Angels, like "You are failures, this is all your fault, just give up and surrender to rot," kind of thing. And meanwhile, Zahario, who somehow seems to have gotten a message from Malgador himself, don't ask me how, but Hero's like, "It's time for a hero, baby," pulls out a mask, goes out onto the field. Now, meanwhile, Coleswain's fighting against Death Guard. He's being overpowered. That Death Guard gets vaporized by a plasma blast. What? Who's that? It's Cypher!
Oh, bada boom.
Yeah,
Wait,
and
what? I knew Zahario was Cypher in the back of my head at some point, but also WTAF.
Because Cypher only appears on the battlefield when the Dark Angels need him most.
What is he, the fucking Sanguinor?
Apparently so. He wears a mask so no one knows who he is. And basically, Zahario, Cypher, basically turns to like, "You heard Coleswain, fight on! For terror, for the Lion!" Blah, blah, blah. And all Dark Angels like, "Yay!" Beat the shit out of the Death Guard.
Literally the Sanguinor.
The fight's still ongoing as per the end of the book. Where else do we go? Alanius Pius and co., whose team are known as the Argonauts now, because Alanius Pius is in fact Jason. No, that's canon. He is actually Jason of Jason and the Argonauts.
Oh, right. Yeah. I forgot
For
that.
fuck's sake, yes.
Yeah. They're making their way towards the Imperial Palace, as we know. They make their way to a readout, which was actually a staging area that Rogel Dawn intended to bring the Emperor through to evacuate him should the walls have all fallen. Because it's full of like tanks and like transports with all these great weaponry and stuff, like Custodes tanks and Imperial Army Tauroxes and stuff like that, all stocked with weapons and shit.
Yep.
And so right, we'll try and get some of these working. You guys, you rest up. John Grammaticus and Alpharius, quote unquote, the Alpha Legionary helping them. Mm-hmm. You go and see if you can get this sorted out. Well, actually, no, tell a lie. They take a break, but John and Alpharius go ahead, and that's where they find all the weapons and stuff.
Right, yes, okay.
But as they do so, Alpharius pulls out a psi disruptor so that Acte can't spy on him. Sets it up. No one can psychically communicate. Takes off his helmet. And it's an Alpha Legionary we have actually met before from the book Legion, a guy called Peck, who John has actually met before.
I think I know that name, yeah.
And Peck explains that nearby there is an entire chapter of Alpha Legion warriors kept in stasis, ready to be activated with a special code word.
Oh, God.
Now, there's there's 4 different code words that could wake them up. One code word makes them loyalist. One code word makes them traitor. One code word makes them fight against chaos regardless of everyone else. And one code word makes them attempt to harness chaos at the expense of everyone else.
Right.
Now,
Okay.
it turns out Peck was himself part of this cadre, but he was awakened by Acte with the code word to try and fight against chaos at all expenses.
So the Cabal mode, essentially.
Pretty much. But this programming, once once this code word's been spoken, it can't be undone. So he can't undo the programming because it's without actual proper mental reprogramming, which they simply don't have the facility to do. But in the meantime, Peck goes off to do whatever, and John goes around testing each vehicle to try and find which, if any of them actually have power, because they've been sitting there for so long, the batteries might have died.
Yep.
And he finds a Coronis grav carrier, a custodian transport.
Yep, I know the one.
Activates it. Hey, it's working. Turns the headlights on. Right in front of, Space Marine space. Ah! It's like, oh, sorry about that. Where are the others? How many are there? Hang on, what? You're not Peck. What makes you say that? Because he's standing right behind you. Space Marine turns around. No. Space Marine turns around. There's no one there. John literally dives back into the grav carrier, tries to pull the hatch shut. Hatch gets grabbed. Alpha Legionary jumps in. I'm just going to call this one Alpharis for sake of, convenience. Alpharis starts beating the shit out of John Grammaticus. It's like, where are the others and how many are there? It's like, I'm not going to tell you. Punch, punch, broken ribs. Tell me and the pain will stop. If
the fact that John Grammaticus has taken 2 punches from a Space Marine and is not dead.
Yeah. Tell me and the pain will stop. It's like, yeah, but if I tell you, you'll kill me. Yes, but the pain will stop. That's the incentive.
Dear, dear.
And as he's basically torturing John Grammaticus, Peck comes in and Alpharis start brawling. Big punch up. But it's like one of those things from a cartoon. It's like, oh, I can't tell them apart now because they've been moving around so fast. They're wearing the exact same armor. I can't tell who is who.
Which one do I shoot?
Yeah, literally that. Because John Grammaticus literally picks up a Archaeotech Volt revolver. He's aiming at them and so I don't know who to shoot. Wait, Peck, how many of us are there? 9. Blam, shoots the other one. There we go.
That's kind of
he
great.
He says to Peck, you do realise that you could have just shot him, when he was holding me up in the air. And I know, but I didn't want to hurt you.
He does care.
Right, okay, so a quick query. This Alpha Legion cohort, who put them there?
The Alpha Legion.
Just checking.
You know what? I've just thought of a fun way to prank your friends. Oh no. You get someone to look at the story without them knowing what it was about, and any time that anything is related to warp fuckery, you make them take a shot, and you'll get them plastered.
Alpha Legion cohort 3 AM challenge gone sexual.
Well, they are the ultimate pranksters, so this does line up.
Yeah. On a serious note, it's interesting that if Alpharis and Omegon put them there, they were clearly so on the fence about which side to take when all this shit came up and the Cabal approached them that they didn't even know themselves and wanted to have a little fallback whoever side they were on, which is quite cool, actually, to show the loyalties.
Yeah. John and Peck get the vehicle up and running. Then Peck turns off the side disruptor because if he kept it on any longer, then everyone gets suspicious. Oh, it turns out that Acte is in fact Cyrene Valantian. That's now confirmed.
Remind me who that is.
The word bearers, lady, whatever her name is. I've forgotten. The Blessed Lady. The Perpetual. The one who got blinded during Monarchia.
Okay, yeah, I remember now.
Yeah. Got recruited by Damon Prytanis into the Cabal.
Sorry, there's just so many moving parts at the moment.
Yeah,
just
like I said, there was a shit ton happening in this.
Like just saying, this person is actually this person. Like, okay, right, remind me.
The Horus Heresy having moving parts. I never would have thought.
So they end up getting in the grav car and driving up to the interior of the palace through one of the back entrances. They get inside. John Grammaticus goes up to Peck and goes, thanks, buddy, slaps him on the chest. And Peck looks down and goes, what the fuck? Attached a fucking limpet mine to his chest. It's like, sorry, buddy, but considering that you got that one code word we can't fix, you could potentially jeopardize the mission, so just stay here. And if you move too much, if you just so much tilt your head, you're going to blow up. So, but don't worry, you can do those weird micro movements things. So if you give it like about a week or so, you should be able to take the mine off. You'll be fine. And Peck's just like, well, I thought we were friends. Meanwhile, John Grammaticus then turns on the side disruptor right in front of Cyrene Valantian. It's like, aha! fuck your psychic powers. It's like, yeah, she's trying to harness chaos. That's her jam. So we have to kill her. She thinks she can control it.
Oh.
And Alliance Pilots are like, no, we're not going to kill her. What do you mean we're not going to kill her? We're not going to kill her. She could be useful. We need someone to keep an eye on her, though. So they get another member of the Argonauts, a psyker named Kat, who's basically going to form a psychic link with Cyrene to basically keep an eye on her, to make sure she's telling the truth and to stop her from doing any stupid shit. Right, okay, that's sorted. Right, let's go inside the palace. There's no guards. I guess they're all on the front lines. Funny that. Oh wait, someone's coming. Hide behind the statue. Oh, there's some custodians. And some of Malcador's chosen. And a crap ton of psykers in chains being led away.
Oh,
I'm
no.
sure. I'm sure it's nothing.
Here come the sacrifices.
Yeah. Okay, we'll find out they're gone. Open up next door. Next door opens up, and there's a custodian standing right in front of them with their gun and aimed right at them, saying, "You'll stop right there. I'll shoot you."
Shit.
Fuck. You're in court. So they get thrown in space prison. Well, not space prison. One of the cells, whatever.
Yep.
And Alanius Pius gets interrogated. He actually demands to speak to the custodian's leader, but the only one who's actually around who can actually talk to them is Khalid's son, who has the most senior of Malcador's chosen.
Because Valdor's away.
Malcador's on the throne and the Emperor's in space.
And Valdor's away.
Yeah. And then have a bit of a conversation. It's like, look, I need to speak to your boss because, the Emperor knows me. I used to be his war master back in the day. Back in, when we destroyed the Tower of Babel together.
Oh, yeah, that classic tale.
Yeah. Yeah, both the Emperor and Alliance Pius were involved in that.
No, I'm just picturing the other guy going like, "Oh yeah, right, the Tower of Babel. How can I? Yeah, sorry, yeah, go ahead.
But Alanius and co, they end up getting taken towards the throne room, and they can't really see anything because the blinding light from the golden throne is like, I can't fucking see. It's like, come on, Biggie, you know me. You don't know me, do you? No. So you don't know me. It's like, no, I don't know you. And it's Vulcan. It's like, he looks at John Grammaticus like, but I know you. It's like, oh yeah.
Oh shit, yeah, John Grammaticus stabbed Vulcan in the back.
Yeah. Yeah,
Fuck.
Yeah, Vulcan turns around and says, Custodian's like, you know him? It's like, yeah, he's the guy who killed me.
Oh.
And as soon as he says that, the Custodian literally brings the blade right on the edge of Grammaticus' head, literally about a millimeter away from killing him. It's like, nah, it's fine, war under the bridge. It's like, look, seriously, we need to talk to the Emperor. It's like, yeah, he's not here, I'm afraid. Where is he? On the Vengeful Spirit. Then we're too late. Fuck. Meanwhile, Fafnir Iran and Dominion Zephon are fighting traitors on Terra outside in the outskirts of the palace because they got locked outside the Eternity Gate. They're just killing people, so it's all good. Who else was that? Oh, Horus. Okay.
Yes, you said you were going to get to Horus.
Yeah, Horus is going senile.
Oh god.
He's most of his stuff. He seems to be talking to Euphrates Keeler, like having an interview with her. Like you think this is a flashback at first, but no, this is present day, and Euphrates not there. He's just being fucking delusional. But he does confirm that the Emperor himself was Alexander the Great.
Every there, there's a whole star-studded cast of characters that the Emperor and Malcador have been, eh?
Oh, actually, I saw a spoiler for the end of the death. Actually, in one of his past lives, or many of his past lives, the Emperor was actually a woman.
Ah.
I must have missed that bit. I can't remember that bit personally.
I saw it in a spoilers article a while ago, and that was all. So I'm willing to be corrected because I haven't actually read it myself. I'll
need to double check. I mean, there's so much going on in this book. I might have simply forgotten. There is a lot going on. But he does confirm that the Emperor was Alexander the Great. But anyway, Horus is going senile. He thinks he's talking to Euphrates Keeler, who's not there.
Mm-hmm.
And you got Kaelus Ekadon, his equerry, come up to him and say, are you all right, Dad? It's like, oh, I'm fine, Sir Janus. I'm not Sir Janus. He died a long time ago. Who are you again? I'm your equerry, sir. I was like, oh yes, Malagos, yes, of course. I said, no, Ekadon, sir. Who? kind of thing.
Oh.
But yeah, Horus gets up off of his throne he seems a bit disorientated. It's like, oh, it's just because I've been meditating, so yeah, things are a bit hazy for a while, but that's fine. He goes to, like, attends his briefing with his generals and all that, and he's like, oh yeah, so this map, this is where, you know, Falcus Kyber's troops are, and this is where so-and-so's, is where Abaddon's troops are, and this is where so-and-so's troops are. Whose troops are these? And it's basically in regards to, like, hordes of demonic creatures. Like, whose troops are these? We don't know. What do you mean you don't know? Well, we were kind of hoping you'd tell us. And Horus is like, oh, you want me to show up in front of Euphrates Keeler? Ah, very clever, very smart of you, yes. Well, this is Bellacor's cohort, and this is Doombreed's cohort, and this is Epidemius' cohort. And one name he does point out, which is very interesting, and he points out, and this cohort here is led by Queethel. Now, the reason why that name is so significant is because Queethel, before becoming a demon, was a Skaven.
Huh? Alright. I was like, hold on.
It's a Skaven-y name, but...
in the old Realm of Chaos books, for creating your own demon prince or minor chaos god, they use as an example a demon prince called Queethel, who used to be a Skaven.
That's great.
Finally. So we have a canonical Skaven character in 40k.
And
that's amazing.
And he's involved in one of the most pivotal conflicts in the entire setting.
Yep.
Great.
For fuck's sake.
It's the warp.
Yeah, again, that's another shot for whoever's reading the story.
Yeah. And then his general's asking us, so Horus, why did you lower the shields on his ship? It's all because of my plan. It's far too complex for you to understand.
Of course.
Right, but can you at least give us some hint? No, shut up, Sejanus. I'm Kayla Sekidon, sir. Basic gist of that. Abaddon's complaining on Terra that no one's listening to him.
Sure.
It's like I've been calling all the commanders on Terra for hours and no one's answering me apart from these two idiots here. It's like, why are you two here? It's like, well, you called us. Yes, you're the only two who did come answer my summons. Yeah, so why did you summon us? Because I think Horus is in danger. He's lowered the shields and eventual spirit, and no one on the ship is answering our hails. Well, it's just because Horus has set a trap, and if you've not been told about it, that means you're not a part of the plans. Don't doubt the Gene Father. I'm going back to beat some people up.
And why doesn't anyone listen to me? Home.
Pretty much, yeah.
This will ultimately manifest in some deep-seated issues with Abaddon 10,000 years later.
Try 1,000 years later.
Yeah, I guess.
Kirill Cinderman. Kirill Cinderman and an officer from the Imperial Army, or was it another member of the Interrogator? I can't remember. But they go into the archives of the Imperial Palace, and there's an archivist there who's still, there. It's like, why haven't you fled yet? It's like, I don't know where the fuck else to go, so I might as well just stay and sit at my job. I have nothing else to do. And it's like, right, well, I seem to have had this mental image from Malkador, basically to come here because, well, we're fighting against demons, let's be bloody honest, and these old texts must have some kind of power to them because otherwise the Emperor would just simply destroy them rather than keep them locked away. Under heavy guard, there must be some power to these old texts, so there might be a way to fight the demons through this. So let's start looking to see if there's any, hints or anything. Now, as they're looking through all these texts, they're upstairs in the archive room, whatever, and they hear the doors over downstairs. Heavy footsteps. Oh shit, someone's inside. That sounds like a space marine. It is a space marine. It's Garviel Loken. Hi, Garviel.
Hi, Garviel.
I'm glad we got to him, because that's where I was going to ask him we go here next.
Yes. And Garviel's like, what are you doing here? We're trying to find a way to fight the demons. It's a bit silly, isn't it? It's like, well, the Emperor kept all these religious books under lock and key rather than just burning them, so there must be something here. So they end up looking through deeper in the archives, and they end up finding, through several books they look through, they keep finding the same passage over and over again about the Dark King.
What the hell is that?
Yeah. And it's like, what is the Dark King? It's like, well, apparently it's a nickname given to Comrade Kurz, but he's not here, so I don't know why that's such significance. To be honest, it could be just referencing Horus, because they're not very imaginative with their chants of traitors. I mean, they keep saying the Emperor must die. It's not a very imaginative chant. But then going through deeper into the archives, and they find like this access hatch. And Loken's like, where does this go? I have no idea. I've never seen this access hatch before. Okay. And bear in mind, again, as I said before, like, because of the warp, people are able to go from one place to the other pretty much instantaneously by going through doors and shit. Like, Loken was able to go for, like, a ruined building, and he was end up being in a location that's, like, 2-3 hours away.
Yeah.
So he opens up, looks inside, and he sees a marking on the wall. He turns back to Kira Cinnamon saying, none of you follow me. You stay here. Okay? Why? Just do what I say. Closes the hatch behind him, and he walks off down the corridor. And scratching on the wall says, Deck 17, Vengeful Spirit.
He's home.
Loken's on the Vengeful Spirit, and that's where we end.
Ah. He will
so
be
I think they are
going. I think they slew the Emperor.
Yeah, I think we are going to go that way because Loken is there, so we have the opportunity to get there. Hooray!
You see, I always knew that the Horus Heresy was just a story about finding your way home.
So you beat me, Horus. You really are the Horus Heresy of Warhammer 40,000.
Okay, that was fast, but I know it was a big book. And considering it's a part 1, I know that the entire book is just set up. Like, we haven't got the Sang Horus fight, we don't have the Emperor fight. But they've actually managed to... what I often find with, like, when you've got, like, material and they make a part 1, is the part 1 is usually, like, you could skip it. Because it's all set up. It makes the second one better, but you could probably skip it and still get the gist. That, not so much. Which is a good thing. I just don't know if it needed to be part 1 or whether they could have just, had it be a book. Like, I don't know what you'd call it. Like, I don't know, the calm, like the Eye of the Storm or something like that to reference the warp or
you could call it the end and the last one, the death.
Something as simple as that. But yeah, it's a definitely interesting setup. It gets all the pieces in the right place, and I'm actually...
I do want to point out I was being very, very brief because there was so much to get through. I even touched upon Basilefo's storyline and all this as well, because there's so much going on with that as well, but there simply isn't enough bloody time to get through it.
One check. Did they activate the Alpha Legion cohort?
No.
No, okay.
Yeah, so that's still floating around somewhere.
Exactly. There was that one that was activated, but he's dead. So
fair enough.
Very interesting, yeah. I think the biggest reveal there is the Terminus Decree, but also the effect that Chaos can have on the Custodes, because that's never been tried before. You've always sort of assumed the Custodes were borderline incorruptible. If being stabbed by Draknien didn't kill you for a bit, then the warp actually screwing the Custodes to the point they will turn on the Emperor, that really is quite telling of the corruption on the Vengeful Spirit. I like the idea of mad Horus. I don't know if I like the idea of senile Horus.
It's a bit strange to have that idea around now, because it's like, as far as just trying to predict what will happen in the next one is concerned, it just means, is the context of a bunch of Horus's actions in that last fight, is it because he was just going senile? Like,
I don't want to point this way. It's also flat out confirmed that his actions in disabling the shields, that was done by the Chaos Gods. They made him do it. Because, as we know from the Black Legion novels, Horus was known to demons as the sacrificial king.
He was always doomed to die.
Yeah. He was a pawn in the game.
But no, that's interesting, that because obviously the speculation as to why the shields came down has always been a subject matter of massive speculation. Was it Horus being cocky? Was it Horus getting desperate because the Ultramarines were coming? Was it...
I always personally prefer the idea of it was him being cocky.
Yeah.
And basically, he lost because of his arrogance. I always preferred that idea rather than like, oh, Gilliman's right up my ass. Come and fight me if you can, bitch, kind of thing. I didn't like that idea. That made him seem too desperate.
Yeah, I can see it both ways.
I preferred the arrogance. Basically, getting Hoffman's like, the victory's in my grasp, and because I'm such an arrogant bastard, that's what cost me.
Yeah, I agree with that, to be totally honest. Like, the logistics of Gilliman is coming, I can't beat him but when you consider that, as we now learned in the Siege, the Iron Warriors have fucked off. Angron has been banished and the World Eaters have fucked off. Magnus has been banished and the Thousand Sons have fucked off. Mortarian's been banished and the Death Guard are still there, but they're not exactly following orders.
The Death Guard have taken on the Astronomicon from the Dark Angels, so...
Yeah, the Emperor's children have gone mad and are attacking the Administratum, if not fucked off. The Word Bearers have never really seemed to do anything.
Oh, speaking of Word Bearers, Bethusa Narek showed up briefly, and he's basically killed a whole bunch of traitor Word Bearers, and he's doing his own thing on Terra. Cool.
For
those who don't know, Bethusa Narek was a loyalist Word Bearer.
Yeah,
he ended up helping Eldrad Ilfred in killing the Cabal.
Oh.
Yes, I remember that name from Legion's videos.
And he's got one Fulgurite bullet left, and he's saving it for Lorgar.
Of course he is. But no, I think that sets things up really well and leaves enough things hanging. Like, I love the fact that the reason Sang went is because it is better to die here and give the Emperor a chance than die on Terra knowing the Emperor has failed. Like, that's actually really clever, because that sets up the whole chink in the armor thing. I don't know if that's what they're going to do, but the story goes up to now. Sanguinius made the chink in Horus's armor that the Emperor was able to use. Maybe that's the reason Sang had to go and die, was so the Emperor would have a chance of winning. That might be the setup and payoff.
Yeah, I'm not sure if it cheapens Horus's victory over Sanguinius, though, considering, like, instead of being, so overwhelmingly powerful, he just bodies Sanguinius, that Sanguinius had to be mortally wounded by Angron first, kind of thing.
Well, there's no saying that Sanguinius is gonna get bodied. Like, Horus, I reckon if you asked Horus pre-heresy who'd win the fight, he'd be backing Sang all day.
Yeah, I understand that, but this is meant to be Horus boosted with power from all four major Chaos Gods. It's basically on par with the Emperor in terms of power. He's meant to be the Emperor's equal at this point in terms of power.
He should be bodying out Sanguinius.
He should be. And regardless whether Sanguinius is healthy or not, but with Sanguinius being injured, it's like, congratulations, you beat someone who's already hurt.
Yeah.
It's not as impactful as, congratulations, you beat one of the most dangerous Primarchs in existence. No, you just beat someone who's been crippled.
I think, to be honest, what they're going to do is... wrestling analogy. This is not going to be a best bout Kenny Omega thing. This is going to be a Roman Reigns storyline driven thing where it's not about Horus beating Sanguinius physically. That's a pushover because he's injured. It's about how Horus grapples mentally with beating down his best friend and murdering him, and what Sanguinius will say and what Horus will say, and whether the washing of the Chaos Gods will crack and that gives the Emperor the way in, and so on. I'm more interested in that fight because we know how it ends, and I know that the Horus Emperor fight ends a certain way, but we don't quite know how. Is the Sang fight, I'm not interested in the how, I'm interested in the why, the what is said, if I'm honest.
So does this make Sanguinius Sami Zayn?
Jey Uso.
Oh, Jey Uso, okay.
I mean, I was going to mention, like, that battles between two opponents, like, one might have more raw power over the other, but that doesn't mean that the circumstances of the fight can't make things more equal,
Yeah.
So
Sang is going to be running on pure adrenaline and a complete lack of care because he knows he's going to die anyway, so why should he not just give it everything he's got?
Yeah, he might pull out all the stops and make the fight more equal than we expect, but then again, it would then make things a bit weird if Horus is beaten pretty badly too, and then manages to do a lot to the Emperor before he eventually kicks the bucket.
He massacred
for the Horus
the Emperor.
Heresy. So that'll be interesting.
I'm just happy that they seem to be paying off the whole Loken as opposed to Alanius Pius being the one to take the blow in front of the Emperor instead. Because that's where it seems to be going, the fact that Loken is now on the Vengeful Spirit as well. It's like, yes! Come on, give me the Loken Horus fight. That's what I want to see, the Loken Horus fight. That's what I want to see.
Yeah, again, this last book, we know that fight is going to happen. We know it's going to take it's going to take a chapter to do the fight with Horus and the Emperor, but the actual fight is going to last about 30 seconds in terms of actual physical contact. It's all about the setup, the chat, the emotional battle, the psychological warfare of that fight. Everything around Horus now is not about his body. It's about his mind. Because if his mind is shattering, which it clearly is he's losing it, and then he's confronted with the original demon of his past, that being Loken, the one who just wouldn't fucking die on his Fan 3. And then he's confronted by Sang, his best friend, his brother in arms, who served with him through everything, and the two of them were literally like that. And then he's got to fight his dad after that, who he has hated for so long, but also, he's just got daddy issues and the Chaos Gods have got in his head. I'm not interested in the fight, really. I'm interested in Horus's brain.
Like, just sort of what is he thinking of in this moment? So that's going to be the main thing that the Horus Heresy can offer at this stage, right?
It's not about the grandiose warfare. We can get that in spades everywhere else, but will never get a story quite like the Heresy for getting into a Space Marine's head or a Primarch's head. Yeah. Because the Dawn of Fire series deliberately does not play anything from Guilliman's perspective by choice. Like, they've deliberately said they want Guilliman to be aloof and mysterious, and that everyone else just orbits around him, but no one gets in his head, and we don't get in his head. So this is the only way to get in a Primarch's head. So yes, please.
Okay. Yeah, I think I can agree with you on that one, because we know sort of how the Horus Heresy ends unless they pull some bizarre twist out of nowhere. So it's really the method of storytelling at all that's going to be the most important part.
Considering this is a Dan Abnett book, we're probably going to have at the end we're going to have a time traveling Constantine Valder with an army of winged blood angels coming out of nowhere, along with Gideon Ravner to save the Emperor, change the course of history, and then we have Warhammer 40,000 10th edition, Age of the Emperor. There we go.
Oh my god.
And given the time, we should probably call it there, to be honest.
Yeah, and on that bombshell, it is time to call it a show, I think.
Yes, apologies for this being a second episode in a row. We didn't get through to questions, I don't think so.
But Adepticon info dump plus the end and the death, you can't blame us for that.
We'll try and get through some more questions next episode. So, firstly, thank you very much to everyone for joining us this episode, and thank you very much to ThunderPsyker for joining us as our guest this week.
Thank you.
Picked a good one to come back on.
Oh my god, yeah, this seems like this was an eventful episode. Pleasure to be here, guys, and thank you very much for having me on again.
You're welcome. So, until next time, this has been Remleiz and 40k Theories.
This has been Neve from Tactica Imperialis.
And I'm here too.
And we'll see you again next time. Bye-bye.